Boy, oh boy, do I have a Premier League table prediction for you. It is that time of the year again where everyone says, hey, I'm going to say something that in a couple of months' time, everyone else is going to go, you said something slightly different to the thing that you said at the start of the season, and now that thing's happened, I know better than you. And you should have known this at the time, that X would get sacked, this player would come in hot, and this other thing would be good. Listen, this is all in a bit of fun. But over the past few days, people have clearly gotten interested in this channel. We've now got 35,000 subscribers. We're trying to hit 100K by the World Cup. So if you guys want to get invested into the channel, want to become part of the community, get into the comments below, want to tweet me, let me know. But hit subscribe and enjoy the new Premier League season. I've got an iPad. It has a Premier League table on it. I expect to see your predictions alongside me and your reactions throughout the video down in the comments below. I'm going to do it in kind of bands because that's the way that I see it, right? You can't say, hey, this team are going to finish exactly, well, you can say that with a couple of teams, but you can't say this team are going to finish exactly here and that's the only reason why. There's only really a couple of, should we say, like holding points in the Premier League table where I kind of feel like I know that's happening. We can start with Bournemouth. I feel like Bournemouth are going to finish bottom of the table. Most people are predicting the same thing. You know, they just don't seem equipped for the Premier League, frankly. And I also think that Bournemouth probably get a harsh reaction because, well, people remember the Eddie Howe years. They remember them kind of fading away. They remember them feeling as if, well, things weren't going to go particularly well. And frankly, it just got to a point where people were a bit bored of Bournemouth because they didn't quite know what space they were taking up in the Premier League. The same kind of goes for Fulham just above them. And I get it, like both those sides, a lot of people have very sort of blah feelings or very extreme feelings of, I feel blah towards that fan base. And that kind of influences a lot of people's predictions with them, / some people are quite mean. But the point with both is I don't feel they're equipped for the Premier League. I don't feel that there are enough sides that are worse than them in the league. And they kind of suit that yo-yo club profile at this point in their profile. And there are other teams in the league that I just think, well, they will do slightly better. And I don't know if either of them have got the gravitas within football to sack a manager and attract someone else in. And I think that is what some other teams in the Premier League probably have in order to save themselves. I.e. what Newcastle United did last season when they were in the worst position that's ever been in the Premier League and they survived it. I get it, there was an investment, but they also changed the manager and that changed a lot. It's a poor example. We've started off on a bad foot. I'm sorry, Bournemouth and Fulham fans. I'm not. That's kind of one strata. The next one up is this mulch of teams where you sort of go, I have no idea what's going to happen with that manager. We don't really know if the team's going to play all that well or if they're going to gel in time. But I feel like Leeds, Southampton, Everton, Forest, and potentially Wolves are also in that. And that is also 18th to 14th right there in the Premier League table. The reason I say that is because Leeds had such a strong identity before and they're going away from that. Now, maybe there is some sort of cognitive bias that I have towards Bielsa, but I just don't feel like the team is going to have enough to be able to get through a whole season. And I feel like there are going to be huge questions. I feel like there is going to be a poor run of form, and that's probably going to be the thing that condemns them. And Jesse Marsch, frankly, is a manager that deserves more credit than he gets, but possibly isn't also a manager that a lot of people expect to stay in the Premier League for very long. Maybe we're being stereotypical about Americans. Maybe I'm being a little stereotypical about Americans. I love Americans. That's where my football career started. But I feel like this side goes down with Jesse Marsch. They feel like they've got the identity of a side that will be picked apart over the next couple of years. And I don't think that there are many teams who would survive that. And I don't feel like Leeds are one that would also survive that. They have recruited well, and I get that. And I think the recruitment will improve the side. But they're within that mulch, like I say. The Southamptons, your Evertons, your Nottingham Forest, your Wolves. Nottingham Forest are actually one that stand out in that. But Southampton and Everton above Leeds, potentially, are the kind of sides where you just go, they lose their manager, potentially. They have a poor run of form, very potentially, and they have players who basically go, listen, I'm good enough for the Premier League. I might be off soon. Or I'm good enough for Barcelona. I might be off soon. I get it. Like, you know, I feel like both Southampton and Everton are just in that place. They're in a place where you basically go, listen, it's not working out with the Premier League anymore, and I need you to drop down so that I can get a sale. It kind of happened actually last season with Everton. Everton were very lucky to survive under Frank Lampard. There was a lot of chopping and changing. And I don't know if much has changed in pre-season. They got some absolute hidings in pre-season. Lampard still isn't tactically where he needs to be in order to stay in the Premier League. And I think motivationally, he's fantastic. But whether that can withstand a whole marathon of a season, motivating people, whether he can use the same motivational tactics or new motivational tactics, whether he's got enough experience in these kind of positions, I would question. And actually, I think they may be there for the picking, which is sad. The only thing that I think is kind of a saving grace is they've got a World Cup in the middle here. There may be a period where they can consolidate. They might say, it might kind of work as hey, that's a halfway house in this season. If we can get to there with X many points, we will be better off. The point is, I'm actually kind of saying they still finish in the Premier League. They just don't finish much better than the way where they were last season. It's kind of a terrible take if you think about it, really, and really you should stop watching now. But the point is, if you feel like Nottingham Forest are going to finish above Everton because there's momentum there, maybe they don't actually have the quality of player that Everton have, but there is this intent to stay in the Premier League. There is this Nottingham Forest-esque battle about them, then sure. I actually really like some of their signings, ex-Liverpool guys now, and I think they're young, they're exciting, and they're signing the right kind of people to finish just below mid-table. It's kind of weird because the logic should be the same for Leeds in a way. You feel like people like Jack Harrison are going to be very influential this season. You get the feeling that also in pre-season there is a togetherness. I could swap Southampton in for Leeds, actually. Do I do that? No. I'm going to stay committed to what I initially said. Wolves then finish immediately above that because Wolves had a poor season last year. And I don't mean poor in the sense of, hey, Wolves are doing terribly in the league, but I feel like there is a drop away that is going to happen. Part of me worries that really it's a sense of inertia that's happening at this side now, where it's like, where is this project actually going? How are we actually going to do? They might frustrate sides this season, but I also feel like there isn't enough progress being made within the side to say that they deserve to finish, frankly, much higher than that. So I'm going to say Wolves 14th. But again, Wolves are that side that could go graduate above or could get sucked into the below. I like to think they'll graduate to the above. I think a lot of people also have a very soft spot for them. But no. Above that, you've got Brentford. It's hard to make an argument for why Brentford will get relegated. I feel like there is some progressive tactics, some progressive ideas at the club. You would think that they would finish above the likes of Wolves and Nottingham Forest, just because they're more competitive than them. But at the same time, sure, they're in that strata where we don't really know where they're going to finish. We don't really know if they've got that X factor that lifts them up. And I don't think there's been enough noise around them in terms of transfers to take them up to the next level. Brighton are kind of the same. They've also lost Basuma in midfield. And whilst they do keep a fantastic manager, and that can probably be consolidated, I just don't see why they'd finish above this. And they're kind of in this strata that we're talking the middle here, the middle strata of teams, which really contains Wolves, Brentford, Brighton, Leicester, Palace, that's cruel on Palace, and Newcastle. Leicester haven't brought enough people in to mean that they're moving up the table. I also feel like Brendan Rodgers is beginning to have his Brendan Rodgers issues, as he does at a lot of different clubs. And I don't know where the ownership is at right now, to be honest. I don't know if they're going to invest enough to take them forward. They may reinvest some Maddison money they get in, but they've got the hallmarks of a side that, again, are going to get picked apart. Really, I should have put Leicester slightly lower, but there is this weird respect that I have for Leicester. Really, I should put Leicester where I put Brentford. I put Brentford higher. Maybe I should put Leicester even where Wolves are. They're in that mulch, is what I'm saying. The graphic here will reflect how I actually feel in the post-production. Above that, Crystal Palace. I think Crystal Palace are on for a season. And I think there's a possibility that Crystal Palace finish above Aston Villa. Newcastle. I'd even put Palace as high as 8th. They're in that strata with Newcastle, Villa, not quite West Ham. But they've got so much young tenacity. They've got so much excitement at the club. They've got a great manager who's building up the table. There is clearly momentum from last season. And it doesn't look like they're going to lose any of those guys anytime soon. They don't have the likes of Conor Gallagher's, but they do have other great young players up front. And I think they've got a tenacity and a dynamism which keeps them in the Premier League and keeps them well above that relegation zone. Also, they're not quite... I mean, I'd be interested to know actually how much that side sort of regard themselves as Europa League competitors or even Europa Conference League competitors. Do they see themselves as level with West Ham? West Ham, who have gone out there and frankly have basically gone, we're going to be another battering ram this season. We're going to be even more physical. We're going to be what most people consider to be even more David Moyes-esque, but with a slight European twist, just because we're in Europe. Newcastle, Aston Villa, West Ham. I'm going to put West Ham at the top of that strata there. And you can battle it out between yourselves, Aston Villa and Newcastle. I feel like Villa, they've got the potential to drop down. Now I'm actually doing this video. I'm looking at Villa and Newcastle and I'm thinking maybe I put them a little too high. Move Crystal Palace up. Villa, West Ham. West Ham finish above. Villa in like 9th. Stevie G won't be sacked for that. But because at the same time, there won't be someone who comes in alongside or ahead of him and goes, hey, I can change this side. But there's been a lot of investment. He should be taking them forward. I think there will be some inertia and some frustration. I love Stevie G. I want him to manage Liverpool one day. I don't think he will be the next manager, but I think he's got the potential to be in that 2, maybe 3 managers after. And then there's Newcastle. I've done a video on Newcastle the other day. Go take a look at it. Newcastle, if they sign another winger, and I think they will, and they sign one more player maybe in midfield, and I think they will, if they get a James Maddison or someone like that, I think Eddie Howe is going to have a great season with them. I think they might loan 1 or 2 more players. I would have loved to see someone like Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain stay fit and go somewhere like that. But they're getting into the next strata here. They won't take that first 14 games off. 8th to 11th is where they sit. But they'll get that. I think I make this prediction. They'll finish above Leicester. I think Palace finish above them. And I think they finish behind Villa, which puts them in 10th. That's very respectable this season for Newcastle United. I would say they may be disappointed by that, but let's see. And now we get into those juicy teams. West Ham haven't improved enough to finish ahead of the likes of Chelsea, Arsenal, Spurs. And I don't feel like they'll be on one of those runs again. There were elements of that run where you felt, this won't continue into next season. But at the same time, they've signed very well. If you sign from Italy, you sign a big boy like that, ahead of Broha, by the way, fantastic. You sign defender, brilliant. But I don't feel like this squad is deep enough. And with 5 subs this season, there's going to be so many of those top Premier League sides going out there and frankly putting out 2 different units of either attack, midfield, or where they consider their key positions to be. And it's going to lead to some thrashings this season and therefore some demoralizations. West Ham finished 7th. It is just, it's the circle of life. And I get it. There is some confidence around the side. I really love West Ham fans. I know loads of them. There's just not enough to take them above someone else. I could have made a bold prediction and put them above Manchester United, but I feel like in 6th, there's this strata here now, Manchester United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs. There are some people towards the top of that, like Spurs, some people towards the bottom, like Manchester United. In between that, I think sit Chelsea and Arsenal. Let's cover Manchester United first. Erik ten Hag will change things at United. Things will get better there. Ahead of that, it's very difficult to call what Erik ten Hag is going to influence if he doesn't have the personnel. He has some of the personnel, and Martinez is a fantastic signing. But bear in mind, they might get another midfielder, they might bring someone else in. Anthony Martial starting as their number 9, if he can stay fit, is great, but he's not staying fit. Even starting the season, he's not staying fit. Cristiano Ronaldo still needs some time to get fit. And it's, again, this 2 halves of a season with the World Cup in the middle that make a big difference. You got players going away, you of course have time to train people, but at the same time, if you aren't starting this part of the season strong and other people are, say a Newcastle's hitting the ground running, Crystal Palace are hitting the ground running, who have had pre-seasons, you go, oh, you know what? I can see what those managers are doing. Manchester United have had great starts to pre-season, and the players initially seemed very receptive. And I think they will continue to be. I think people believe in the Erik ten Hag model and they believe in what Erik ten Hag is doing. But around that, there is also going to be a lot of change at the club, and it's going to be hard for them to process. There will be some ruptures. It's going to make it difficult. There's going to be people there who want big contracts. There are going to be people there who want to impress. There's also going to be people there who get frustrated when people don't come along on that journey. So I'm saying 6th for Manchester United. The only time they don't finish in 6th is if Chelsea do badly. And I think the reason that Chelsea do badly is because they won't be signing enough players. Barcelona are coming in and signing every one of theirs. Koulibaly, a fantastic signing. He's not going to do your whole back line. Thiago Silva, fantastic still. He's not going to do your whole back line. These guys need to be able to stay fit for a whole season. I don't see how that happens. They haven't replaced Lukaku. They have brought in someone fantastic in Raheem Sterling. This side will click at some point, but there is the huge chance that Thomas Tuchel, and I think a lot of people have been harsh on him. Maybe I was evaluating some of where his downfall could come at some point. Thomas Tuchel is the key and the linchpin to this. If Tuchel does well, brilliant. They do well in the Champions League. They'll finish 5th or 6th in the Premier League. Just to jump in here, of course, there is the other aspect that Chelsea go the other way. Things click for Thomas Tuchel. They get Fofana, they get De Jong, they get whoever else they want, Cucurella, and things do click. They have this brilliant return for both of their fullbacks, and they can kick on in some way. And the new ownership, in some way, is lifted what used to be there, which you could consider to be quite heavyweight. I'm not saying that Chelsea is a collapsible club. I don't think it is going to collapse from the base, but I do think there may be a short-term setback if Tuchel doesn't get this right and get things clicking early on, and that would mean they finish outside the top 4. This whole idea operates within bands, so you've basically got your top 2 followed by your second 4, followed by your second 3 to 5, and then pretty much the rest of the table in your relegation zone. Chelsea very much fit within that. It's just very difficult to see them challenging for the league with so much turnover and also so many other challenges going on at the club at the same time. But there are too many other sides improving around them to say that they finish above that. Arsenal are a better team. Sure, have they fixed the mentality issues at Arsenal? We will only find out. We need to know if they click in the same way as we need to know if Chelsea click. But again, Arsenal will hit the ground running. Spurs will hit the ground running. Chelsea, well, already we're hearing from Thomas Tuchel, and they need another couple of weeks to prepare. Maybe he's doing that thing where he tries to worry people. Maybe he's trying to quantify what it is that are the problems at the club so that everyone in the press knows. Some people are very sympathetic to Tuchel. Some of my comments in themselves are those kind of comments where people go, you know what? Hey, you should be less harsh on Tuchel. Because at the same time, he's dealt with a lot. And actually, he's dealt very well with some of the bigger characters at the club. Some people think he did well with Lukaku. But I personally see a bit of a timer ticking with Thomas Tuchel. And the timer that's ticking with Thomas Tuchel is the one that says, you've got your team, or you've got elements of that team. What are you going to do with them? Are they going to improve? Is this side going to get better? You farmed Lukaku out. Lukaku left, partly based on his relationship with you. Is that good? Because, by the way, it's only a 1-year loan. Lukaku can come back in if Thomas Tuchel leaves. I don't know if that'll happen, but I also feel like Todd Bowley is a great new owner for the club. But alongside that, there may be a trigger finger that comes with that. We've got to be bold in this video, right? We've got to be bold, guys. But within this strata, Chelsea finish 5th. Manchester United, the only way they finish above Chelsea is if Chelsea have a bad season under Tuchel and the possibility of there being some sort of politics going on at the club or something where the club is still acclimatizing to a new ownership. Above that, I've got my top 4. Arsenal, Spurs. Difficult to know who finishes above who. Conte hasn't had the wow of a pre-season that Arsenal have had, but then again, he's exhausted the players. They now go away, they have a little time to build their bodies back up, and then they hit the ground running with Spurs again. You've got the Champions League this season. You've got a real, a real challenge in the Champions League. Conte doesn't love the Champions League. He loves the league. He's going to want to be finishing as high as possible because that's what attracts players. And that's what validates his project. It's what he probably considers to be the hardest as well. So these two, I consider them interchangeable, but that's a bit of a cop-out, right? So I'm going to say Spurs finish higher by 1 place, but I still think that Arteta at the club, despite the fact that people will ridicule him for the Amazon documentary, they'll always find a way to do that. And that people will find a way to make an issue with whatever it is at Arsenal. Maybe some of their personnel get injured. Maybe other things happen. Maybe there are other issues with a midfielder having to leave, or, they're having to rotate some sort of personnel. Sure. But they'll finish in the top 4, and that'll be further validation for Arteta. But I'm just writing a narrative here. I'm just being reckless. Why not be reckless with your preseason predictions? That's what you come here for. You already know what you think. Why don't you want to? And I get it. I think Spurs have had a fantastic window. I also think Arsenal have had a fantastic window. Zinchenko's a winner. Gabriel Jesus is a winner. They've got other people who are ready to be winners. But they're on the edge, the precipice of that. And I still think Arsenal will get top 4 with that. It will be validating. It will be fantastic. And I believe they will outlast the likes of Thomas Tuchel and even Manchester United. It will be frustrating, but we'll see. Other people also say it may drop away and Manchester United could finish above Arsenal here. Some people even say West Ham could finish above Arsenal. I don't believe it, but sure. And now we get to the title race. And this is the point where I caveat it by saying, who would I be if I didn't back my boy, Jurgen Klopp? Jurgen has been incredible at Liverpool. Tactically, he's overseen so much transition, so much change. But moving away from Mane is probably the biggest step the club has taken in years. Apart from the fact that a few years ago they tried to do this thing where they did a super high line and then everyone got injured and it sort of messed things up. But they had last season to then bed that in. Liverpool looked very good against City. It clearly showed that they have more plans than they had before. Nunez is a great signing. And when I say a great signing, I mean a signing who can change things up for Liverpool. And I think things will change for Liverpool. They'll be aggressive in a different way. We're not looking, you forget, if you want to go with that Moneyball principle, it's about making up those numbers. And the tactics that fit within that from Pep Limges and his incredibly insightful book at Liverpool right now show how Liverpool are trying to move forward. This is a transitional season for Liverpool. They know who their target is next summer. They know what they're trying to build towards. They know that midfield is aging with Henderson, Milner. Thiago doesn't have much longer left on his contract. But they have other people locked in. The shape of Liverpool is changing, but the belief is still there. And there is such a togetherness that I would be silly as a Liverpool fan not to back that. And I get it. Come back to me at the end of the season when City are lifting the title. But to not believe in Liverpool on day one of this season would be crazy. City are by far and away the favourites for the league, sure. And they will put in a great run. But without Salah, Naby Keita, and so many other big players going to the World Cup for Liverpool, I think there's a bit of a rest there. There will be other players, of course, that go to the World Cup. I think Jordan Henderson will go. I think, obviously you've got about half of Liverpool's back line. You've got a lot of their forward line as well. But there are key players within there that will get a rest and can hit the ground running post-World Cup. You forget, Liverpool competed last season for every match that was possible. And every season, we underestimate them at the start again. So I'm making the case here that Liverpool will finish above City, despite City being extremely strong favourites. I'm not saying it'll be 10 points, 15 points, but I do think that while they're trying to bed Haaland in, while they've got Julian Alvarez, while there's a couple of other people who are looking frustrated, and they've gotten rid of the likes of Zinchenko, Sterling, etc., there will be a frustration. There will be a change as well, because if Rodri is injured or gets rotated out or whatever, Calvin Phillips comes in. Now I get it, Calvin Phillips is fantastic and he was great for Leeds, but he took so much of the weight for Leeds that he won't be taking in the same way at City. He is a fantastic, technically accomplished player. But for me, I still think there's bedded in players at Liverpool who look very comfortable. And when you see Alisson come back, which he wasn't there in pre-season, that will improve them again. There will be more time for more centre-backs to be bedded in. I'm just making the case, guys. There's great backup at left back. There's great backup at right back. Nunez, Jota's got that new contract. That's fantastic. Salah's got that new contract. That's fantastic. There is a balance, a pH balance at the club. They're not too acidic. They're not too alkaline. They are water. And water is fluid. Quite literally. Within the Premier League, of course, you need to be more fluid now. I think the interesting aspect is Liverpool had a tendency to try to force it last season, and very often when they forced it, it worked. The real thing that we'll see if Liverpool click is if they can still force goals without the likes of Mane, if they can fill in those numbers without the likes of Mane. And mainly, what we're banking on here is that City don't click. Of course, there is this really compelling case for City winning the title as well. Haaland clicks, everyone else clicks, Alvarez is fantastic, but some people are making the argument that, sure, they had Ibrahimovic at Barcelona before. They've had a lot of kind of crazy things happen. Pep has had things fall apart at times. By the way, it didn't fall apart with Ibra. But Pep has had things fall apart at times. He's made some bold decisions. He needs some time to bed some people in. They've gone for Cucurella. Hasn't quite worked out yet. It may work out. By the way, I'm making all these predictions without having seen the final transfers and everyone having, put themselves in certain positions. But City could well win it. They will be favourites by a million miles. But Liverpool, Klopp, Pep, there are just all these different factors. Can they make it click? Let's see. Hey, City might click and blow everyone else away. And I'm ready to look silly with that. I don't even think I'll look that silly with that. I've caveated it with that. We know City are a fantastic side. But who would we be without making a bold prediction? So here's my case for it. Liverpool will edge a lot of these big fixtures this season. They will bank on the team being together, the fact that they feel like some of these players are having their last dance, their last chance, and that they came so close the previous season. Because the interesting thing is, remember when they came close the previous seasons, they've gone on to win it the next. Narrative there. Of course, I'm going to look stupid come the end of the season no matter what, because the Premier League table will not look like this. But maybe I'll redo a prediction at some point. The World Cup's in there. It's an asterisk season because of the World Cup. There are plenty of other things there which are going to trip me up. But I'm fascinated to see what you guys think. Where do you think that top four is? Do you think it's disastrous and Tuchel gets sacked if he doesn't get top four? Do you think Eric Ten Hag finishing 5th or 6th is validating of the United plan? If they finish in a similar position, who knows? Do you think Ronaldo will be there come the end of the season? I'll be doing my individual predictions later in the week, possibly even early next week after we've seen the first weekend. It's just fun, isn't it? It's just fun. Anyway, let me know in the comments below. I'll be interested to see what you guys think. I love you all. I really appreciate you hitting subscribe. We hit 35,000 because of you and your sharing and your clicking and everything else. It's been incredible so far, but I want to hit 100,000 very, very soon. And I want to start being even more consistent. We've got shorts on the channel. We're doing daily videos. Come back. Be with us. We're trying to make more and more stuff. Me alone, with obviously Jack behind the scenes helping out. But me alone, I'm trying to make more videos. I'm trying to up this, do something that's meaningful and do something that's going to build a bit of a community. How would I do that better, guys? Do I need a Discord? What do I need? Just let me know in the comments below and I will see you guys in a little while. Much love. Bye. Oh, enjoy the season. Seriously, let me know. I really want to see your tables and feel free to clip this up. Please don't. Please don't. By the way, there is a really compelling case for City winning the title. Haaland clicks, everyone else clicks. Whatever. See you in a little while. Bye.